Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds, and welcome to a special edition of the Multiverse Report. You'll notice I'm not joined by Mike Gibson. I have brought with me a expert on subject matter here for the first branch podcast of an instant reaction show for Amazon's The Wheel of Time. With me today is Steve Irwin, a longtime aficionado and good friend of Mike and I's. Figured we'd give you guys a bit of a talk about the book and the show and how it all intersects, because that was an interesting 3 episodes of show that we just saw. So if anyone does not know anything about the Wheel of Time, you're going to get heavily spoiled. So if you this is not a spoiler free zone. Your spoiler free zone is done in now, because what did you think? Just cliff notes. I know you have details, because you always do. As a long-time follower, long-time fan of the series, initial surface thoughts. Yep. Fair. I think I hit all those. The first time I saw Moraine channeling, I was very confused, because basically none of what happened in the show is the same as what my mind's eye said. I don't know if you got that too, but very much whatever I saw in the show was not what I had seen in my head for the 20 years of knowing the base of the source material. And some of that, right, like what channeling would look like, what any, like, the casting. After watching the 3 episodes, I agree with you, they nailed a lot of the casting, but what was in my mind's eye, like the guy who played Tam, did not fit with what I was expecting of, like, Roose Bolton is not who I expected to be Tam Althor. The guy, like, Perrin fit perfectly in my brain. It's like, okay, big oaf blacksmith, perfect, enjoy. Especially seeing we've only gotten the surface level of all these characters at this point. Lan, Moraine, not what I pictured, but works perfectly fine. All that, it's just like, I don't know. I think I had the same thing when Game of Thrones debuted as a series, of what was in my head from reading the books definitively didn't match up with the screen. It probably took me about 45 minutes in this one to make up for that. But I think I'm with you. Yeah, I think I'm with you. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like right. Yeah, I expected, like, yep. Right. Yeah, I was picturing Lan as like a classic knight. Actually, kind of like what you would see in Game of Thrones. That, old classic European, that stocky, broad, but still light on his feet and lithe type situation. Instead, we got Tam Danny, can't remember his last name, that got cast as Lan. This is awesome audio, but he works perfectly, and by the end, I really liked how he portrayed it. So. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Hmm. There's no rhyme or reason. Yeah. Right. Right. I'm. Yeah. Well, at the same time, it's been very warned of, like, listen, it's spoiler heavy. Whatever is said is free game. Right. Yeah, I mean, the book titles, there's 14 of them. Some of the book titles are spoilers. Yeah, I'll steer you if we start going too far, but it's like the whole, like, there were certain plot points where I thought they sped things up beyond necessarily, or maybe it's something they'll come back to, but it's like the Tam and Rand relationship, I didn't get what I would have expected out of that. Um yep. Yep. Right. None of that did. Right. Yep. Oh, yeah. I, this again, awesome audio, but I know what you're going for. Like, yeah, yeah, effectively. There you go. Hmm. Which is, yeah, yep, right, No. Yeah, absolutely.
Just about all the way up to Beltane.
Yeah.
3 episodes, character building, introduction, all the relationships, this peaceful pastoral thing, blah blah blah, and then like the Beltane is like the big climax cliffhanger. Okay, now wait till next week because I know what happens next. I wanted that level of pacing. Instead, we're like, okay, that's half that first book.
Right,
like, let's
right.
go.
Yeah, when we saw Pat and Fane within like 15 minutes of the start of the show, I'm like, okay, we're doing this. But
Yeah.
the whole like the pacing of it is kind of weird because you followed it and I followed it, but like my wife, we often like we'll talk on the show about the wife litmus test. And
I had my wife watch it with me too. I made her, basically.
Yeah, I threw it out there, and
we're having a TV event tonight, and you're gonna come downstairs with me and watch it.
basically. Yeah, so she acquiesced to watching it, and actually she's like, I really like it, but there's a lot of like from your standpoint and my standpoint, they didn't dive deep enough. But from a layperson's standpoint, it seems like they also didn't, because I normally get a lot of questions about stuff, but there was a lot of, okay, well, none of this really makes sense why they're doing any of this. And I'm like, well, there's like 1,400 pages that could help you with that, but I don't think you're going to commit to that.
Right.
So it's I'm curious what the reaction will be. Like, everything I've read online or whatever has been people who know the show, or people who know the books, people who like are deep into fantasy or the genre in general. Not so much just John Q. Public. So I'm curious what that reaction will be.
Maybe they have a higher tolerance for the gradual reveal too. Like, they're waiting for the world to build over the course of the show. Like, I feel like the type of audience that reads these kinds of books is willing to sit it out, even if they haven't read these books yet. Like, they're gonna like, I never read or played any of the Witcher games, but I'm like, what's going on? And then I had to watch the season. Like, at the end of the season, I realized, oh, this is all just time shifting,
right? And
these are flashbacks, and this is, I get it now. I think if you played the games or read the books or whatever, that might have been more obvious on the first viewing, perhaps.
Not particularly. Okay. I mean, you'd have a little bit more background as to the whole Ciri thing and where all that came into play. But yeah, the jumping around was definitely the only reason I knew it was because of playing Witcher 3, of knowing some of those characters. But there was still a lot of like, this is confusing. Let's see how it plays out.
We're off on a tangent.
Welcome to this podcast. That happens way too often.
Do you want to keep going with casting choices? Do you want to talk about? We started with summary stuff.
Was there anything else that jumped at you casting wise that you wanted to bring up?
Number one, I think Matt is perfect casting, and I'm really disappointed to hear that actor won't be continuing. The way they're messing with his character a little bit, they're giving him a little grittier, darker thing, and his parents are kind of on the outs, and the dad's kind of cheating on the wife, and the mom's drunk, and I'm like, I mean, I was talking with Carolyn about it. Like, it works because they need to make the two rivers five, we'll call them, Nynaeve, Rand, Perrin, and Matt, feel like different characters in a show. Right. Like, they have different reasons for being, they have different backstories, they have different purposes, and different attributes. And in the book, they kind of start like they're all friends and they hang out, and they, like, friends have certain similarities. But in a TV show, it seems like this particular TV show, they're trying to show how they're all very different. Like, Perrin is very quiet and thoughtful and slow, just because he likes to think it through. And what they've done is give him a reason for his silence very quickly. Like, there's a reason why he's not talking in a big chatterbox right now. He's also a bigger guy or whatever. But
now, did I miss a memo on that? Like, was there a created character in there that I missed?
There was.
Oh, weird. Okay, I thought
Perrin did not have a wife in the books.
I was like, at first I'm like, going insane.
I was reading. So Brandon Sanderson was a consultant for the writing of the show, and he's been kind of providing some commentary, his thoughts about the season as he's watching it. And he's being very careful to be polite and not criticize other people's work, but they did ask him for feedback on the screenplay at several points throughout the process. So he's like, they asked me about this, so I feel comfortable talking about it. He actually felt very strongly opposed to giving Perrin a wife and having him accidentally kill his wife, because he thought the trauma of that act is too sensitive and too difficult to do justice for in a very, with the pace that they're going.
Right.
Like, okay, he kills his wife, let's head off on an adventure. They kind of glossed over the real need to leave. Like, you have to leave because they're coming. If you stay here, they're going to come. So let's go. Okay, let's go. It was very, let's go.
Right,
like,
we're leaving the Shire.
Moment of, all the goodbyes weren't in there. They didn't have time because the Trollocs were coming, and that was a huge emotional moment for those characters in the books. But it was like 10 seconds in the show, which didn't give it the weight I think it really needed. In that moment, I don't think Perrin could have left the town. He'd be a broken man by that point.
Yeah.
Or he's just such a broken shell, he'll do whatever anybody tells him to do. But
and just knowing where his, to have that happen and then where his path takes him,
it's going to take him back to the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler.
It boggles my, it's going to take him back to the Two Rivers, but with an additional friend.
Yeah, okay. So Sanderson's idea was that they should have had Master Luhan, the master blacksmith that Perrin is an apprentice for in the books, be the person he accidentally kills.
Yeah, that would make sense.
There's a very strong relationship between Perrin and Master Luhan. And if he accidentally killed his master, that would be a trauma, but it wouldn't be the level of trauma of killing your pregnant wife.
Right.
Right?
Minor detail,
So that seems weird, but it does give him a very fast emotional character foundation.
Right.
It revealed his berserker rage that he's going to have trouble controlling throughout the story, and a reason for his reluctance to use an axe. Mm-hmm. Which is weird. He didn't bring an axe with him out of the Two Rivers. In the book, Master Luhan forged this very ornate battle axe, and he just gives it to Perrin because he's going away, because he has to leave, and he carries it with him, and it becomes this symbol of the person he does not want to become,
right,
or that he reluctantly becomes, and then he makes a choice later on in his journey whether to keep the axe or not, and now the axe is a immediate reminder of everything he's lost. So
right.
It'd be interesting to see how he deals with that, if they're going to jump right into the whole wolf thing, which they're starting.
They seem to be, which seems like they're going at that pretty hard. But I think we should keep it right now with weapons, because there was about a 3-second flash of a very well-known weapon that was a much more elaborate part of the first book, when Tam takes out from the box the Heron-mark blade, and then Rand just magically has it, and that's that, and nobody says anything, and nobody's you saw half a second flash of that Heron-mark on the hilt, and that was it.
Yeah, so the lead up into that in the story is much more, they had their little quiet night thing where they had their little funeral ceremony thing with the lantern for Rand's mother, Carrie Althor. It wasn't really clear what was going on there, but they were honoring her. When they came in that night, Tam had an odd feeling, and he went up into his upstairs bedroom, and he got out his sword. He set it next to the fireplace downstairs, and what's that? And Rand had never seen this in his entire life.
Right, much more.
You have a sword? Nobody in the Two Rivers has a sword, right. And this guy's got this particular kind of sword. What the heck is that? And in the books, Rand is 19 and a half years old at this point, but he's still got that youthful naivete kind of thing where he's fascinated with swords and he wants to know all about it and he has lots of questions, but Tam's just a very, quiet about it. He's like, don't worry about it kind of thing. And then as the night goes on and it's quiet, and then they hear something or whatever, and then the door blasts open. So they raced past the mood building there because everybody was getting attacked in town and otherwise at the same time.
But that kind of killed me though, because it was like in the books that was a buildup of like, okay, this blade is something. It's not just like the deflection and all that. You're just
a lot of that happened after. Yeah. Everybody kept commenting on like, why do you have a heron mark blade? Like, who are you? You're too young to have that, and they kept repeating it over and over and over again.
But even
it wasn't
even before
so
that
much.
though, when like just the conversation, like you knew it wasn't just like Tam has a sword, and I don't know.
Right.
It was
he
like you don't get
like
the
he gave him a
connection,
story.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't get the connection that it's outside of like that 2 seconds. You don't get the connection that it's Tam's sword and that it's out of place. It's just like
maybe they'll go back when they start commenting on it. They're like, well, my father said that he bought it off of a vendor, a peddler.
Right.
I really hope they dig into the Blade Master subject matter, especially with Lan.
Yep.
I can't wait for Lan's backstory.
Yes.
Super excited. All right, back to these 3 episodes. I think.
Well, I guess taking that in directly in like sequential order. Sequential order. We'll go with that. In sequence, we talked about the sword. Immediately after the sword, Trolloc blows through door. Thoughts on the Trollocs?
I'm very happy with the Trollocs. They look terrifying and awesome, and I like the supernatural movement speed of them, like galloping through the woods. Even though special effects and like it's like motion blur kind of stuff, like it makes them look more menacing.
Yeah.
The scene where Rand sneaks back into the farmhouse after the Trolloc attack, and all the Trolloc bodies are like on the floor of the living room, and he's looking for blankets and stuff to bring his father into town, and that one Trolloc Narg stands up slowly, like I wish that was in there, but Narg smart. I think the Trollocs are great. Fades aren't what I pictured. I did not picture a monster mouth. I pictured a human face that's just maggot white skin with no eyes, and a gravelly voice. I didn't picture a monster mouth, but that's terrifying and menacing and cool, and I'm okay with it. Obviously, we want people to be scared about fades. Trollocs are terrifying by themselves, but they're kind of stupid.
I'm pretty sure they did reuse the Nazgul shriek for the sound the fade made.
Yeah, they were doing the horns before that, which was good, but the shrieks. I don't know. I mean, you gotta stick with some things that are familiar. It works.
It's the Wilhelm scream of epic fantasy movies.
Epic fantasy screams. Monsters are good. Looking forward to some Dark Hounds. Gonna see some of those hopefully coming up. What else we got here? Channeling. I thought, even though it's not what I pictured, I thought it captured the intense energy, the build up, the soundtrack, the score kind of went with it, and it kind of made. I had the bass turned way up for it too, keeping the kids awake. I'm okay with it. I think it's work. Like I was reading some Rosamund Pike comments about like how is she going to do this kind of thing, because only the Aes Sedai can see that the weave that's happening, but they're giving it to the viewer. Otherwise, she's just standing there, and stuff's happening. I think it's working great. I'm okay with it. I enjoy it. I think Beltane, that whole fight, was as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
That's how I pictured it. I pictured a lot more flames, actually, but there were flames. That's how I pictured Rand walking into town the next morning, cold and dirty. One thing is, okay, can we get to some costume casting?
Yeah, sure.
Stuff a little bit, because even my wife is not. She's heard me raving about these books for too many years. I'm like, you have to watch this TV show now. I'm like, okay. And I agree with her. She's like, and she has no idea who the dragon is, any of this stuff.
Right.
So like, Matt, we got Perrin, we got Egwene, we got Nynaeve. Brand stands out. He's always clean shaven. He basically glows on the screen. His coat is like new, and everybody else's is a little bit natty and dirty kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like the wool's kind of tattered, and even like Egwene's woolen coat. There's no reason why he's clean shaven the next morning after a battle.
Right.
Like.
Well, it was his coat, like the woolen sweater thing. Really, for some reason, it bugged me, and the only weird thing that I could pick up was it reminded me too much of. I don't know if you ever saw the ill-fated Shannara series that they tried to produce.
I avoided it. I heard bad things.
Well, I saw it before I could hear the bad things, so I saw bad things. But it had that weird aesthetic of like oversaturation of color, and it was like his sweater compared to everybody else had this weird oversaturation. You're right. It didn't dawn on me that like he glowed.
Well, I think they're gonna play on that because they mentioned it in episode 3. Tom Maryland mentioned it when they were taking the dead Yeoman down from the cage, and man, just so rushed. But like, he's like, nobody in this area has any hair this color, but your friend does.
Yeah, except for the guy we just saw.
Nobody from the Two Rivers ever has red hair. So Rand stands out as different among his peers visually in the show. Like, he doesn't look like he belongs there.
Right.
I feel like they could have, if they're going to play with this whole mystery thing, I feel like they could have made it more. They could have gone all in on it and made him, give him some facial hair.
Right. Like he's the only ginger around. You might as well like make the rest of him look like everybody else, so that's
dirty
his,
a little bit. Like, he's a farmer. Like,
he's a farmer that was just in a battle with a bunch of Trollocs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he looks like he just stepped off a GQ magazine. So,
Yep.
I'm with you on that one.
Episode 3. It was very fast.
It was.
Am I interpreting it correctly that they are merging Min Farshaw with a dark friend? And
I was
her immediately. Did that woman say that she saw signs around Rand's head, the Stone of Tyr, and I need to go back and watch it.
I gotta watch it again, but that dawned on me. I was like, I think, I don't know. I really didn't know what they were doing with that, and it confused the hell out of me.
Well, there is a scene where him and Matt are in a barn, and this dark friend woman comes and flirts with them and whatever, and then tries to kill them.
Right.
In the books. So they're taking that part of it, but why put the seeing signs? Like, because we didn't see her see signs. Like, we can see the magic and the flows. Like, we should see the signs that she sees. In the story, there's a character who sees little symbols floating around people's heads and stuff, and it's kind of like a foretelling. We don't know what they mean, but she has an emotional response to them, and she says, every time I've predicted something, it's come true, kind of thing.
But that's very much not the character we saw, which is what was throwing me off.
But then why even add that if you're going to kill her?
Right. Yeah,
so,
I don't know.
But on the other hand, in the book, the main character has 3 major romances all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they might just get rid of that entirely, because I don't think that will. Of the three, Min is the most disposable, quote unquote. I think she's extra. Yeah, I think she's extra. I would say, and then we'll talk about characters that don't exist yet in the show. Right. I mean, and so I think I'm okay with the physically can't get rid of the other two. There's no way they can get rid of the other two. So,
Or what they may do, they may bring Min in later. Somehow, like, you know what I mean? Like, it may have just been like, hey, this is the third episode. We don't want to throw this many people at them all at once. So it could just be something simple like that. I know they did that with Game of Thrones a couple of times where it was like, well, they didn't introduce this oh, okay, they got it two episodes later. There they are. They took out this superfluous section of, hey, this is who I am, and just threw him in later. But
everything I've read, like, about how they're writing it, and they're being very sensitive, and they're telling a different story. And one perspective that I really liked about it is, like, the wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, and people who lived in one age are reborn in another age. Yep. And there are scenes in the actual books where they kind of get glimpses of parallel universes, and one of them, Matt is a shepherd, and one of them he's a thief, and one of them he's getting hanged, and one of them he's a king, and one of them he's a general, and one so he gets like different lives every time he's reborn. So it's nice to think of the TV show as just another turning of the wheel, where it's slightly different from the books, and that makes it more okay. Like, you can stomach some of the changes a little more. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, because Robert Jordan kind of made a framework where you can tell a different tale within the same vocabulary, and it works.
Yeah.
So that helps me, like, forgive some of these, some of these things, like the whole village women's circle ritual with the river and the pond. Like, that's not in the books at all. Like, I don't know what that is. But okay, it's a very important to Nynaeve, and
It did immediately throw us into, okay, the women's circle is an important thing, and Nynaeve is the head of it, and Egwene is getting her braid, and that's important, and here.
Right.
We'll shove you right into it.
And listening to the wind sets up the beginning of Egwene's distancing from Rand.
Yep.
Relationship-wise, that they already have a relationship in the TV show. They were kind of, will they, won't they, in the book for a long time.
For at least a book or 7.
Yeah. That's okay. It's a very efficient way to get to that point. Like, and like, that's not something you need to drag out. So I don't really like the way they treated Matt's parents, but it gives them a good, foundation, and it makes him feel different. His motivations are different. He's thinking about his little sister's parents' whole motivation now is all set up. Egwene's motivation, Nynaeve's.
The only one we don't have a motivation for is Rand.
Yeah,
like,
he's just leaving because Moraine says he's one of them. He could be the dragon.
Right. Like,
right.
He's and they went through hoops to quickly set up everybody else and, like, give them a good reason to go, and then Rand's just like, okay, that's good, it's fine, we'll go.
Well,
we're off to see the wizard.
Egwene's going too, right?
Right. True.
The lost puppy kind of thing, going after his girlfriend.
Yeah, we're all just walking into Shatter Logoth because we're just following.
I think they could have done a better job adding weight to Moraine's search for the dragon.
Yeah,
and how she's different from the Red.
Right, rather than just showing Logain and the Reds and those two overwatching that, and then just being like, all right, we got to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, there's no why they're different or why. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't gotten into the Ajas, but I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I think as far as the whole, Rand part of it, him not looking like he fits in, and him not having the same backstory treatment, sort of telegraphing, and then plus the scene in the barn with the Dark Friend barmaid. It would take 4 strong men to knock down that door or whatever, and then something happens. They're kind of
figure
something's happening. So they're not going to spend too long, holding that in suspense. But what else did I write down? I thought the choice. Okay, number one, the serpent ring is ridiculous. Like, in the book, it's just a serpent eating its own tail. It's a very tasteful,
it's just a standard ring. Ouroboros, like, yeah.
This is just, what is this thing? It did not need to be. It could have been a snake ring, like the logo on the show. It could have been that symbol on their finger. It didn't need
There's
to
a
be
reason
this
that's the symbol.
crazy. I think the white cloak armor it looks like plastic painted with spray paint to me. The big shoulder thing.
It's
like,
kind of
there's like a gold one and a silver painted one.
It's like stormtroopery.
Yeah, I like that they are being presented much more menacingly. I think that's setting them up better. And I like the difference between the questioner and the leader of the white cloak there. Like there's definitely a dichotomy within the white cloaks, like a different approach.
But at the same time, the way they're setting him up, you can't, like, in the books, you could kind of understand why some people would agree with them that the Aes Sedai are, well, I don't even know if we established that people, or that they don't like the history between them and the Aes Sedai and all that. But
yeah, the rumor that Aes Sedai are witches and they'll take you away and they'll
right.
There's like they skipped right over the colloquial fear of witches and stuff, and how the white cloaks are more like fundamental zealots that are against using the power at all for anything, right? So now only women channelers are left in the world because they have eradicated all the male channelers. So the White Cloaks' mission is basically just stop channeling, period,
right,
and find all of them. I'll find all the women and kill them too. So they're setting that purpose up, but they're not planning the common folk don't have a fear of Aes Sedai,
right,
and a suspicion of them and a mistrust, which is a key aspect in the novels.
Now at the same time, because when Moraine came in to the inn, like it was, everybody was just like, it's somebody that's not from here. Like
she was like a pretty lady,
right? There wasn't like
noble or something.
Oh my God, that's an Aes Sedai.
Yeah, she didn't have a ring on at the time.
Right.
She didn't announce herself as Aes Sedai. She was secretly coming into the Two Rivers on a mission to try to suss out, she's on this 20-year search basically to try to find the Dragon Reborn.
Yep.
This child who was born on the slopes of Dragon Mount, who then disappeared. So she's been marching with Lan all over the Westlands, basically, searching for this child. And she's got genealogy and birth records, and she did all the research, and she found out all the towns of any kid who fits this age group. And she's gone and checked all of them off the list, and she's in the last corner of the world that nobody ever goes to, and she ends up finding 3, well, in this case 5, but then she ruled out Nynaeve for being 26 years old. So there's 4 left who could be the dragon. But they kind of just sped right past like that whole concept.
Yeah, they don't even mention the Taveran thing, and that, like, I get you've got to cut some things, but it was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if Matt's luck changes.
I mean, it's going to have to. You've seen the rest of the story. Like, things have to change at some point. So,
Tom Maryland, I don't think I like that casting. It's very gritty and more of a criminal, much of a darker figure, where in the books he comes into the Two Rivers along with the peddler, or along, right around the same time.
Yep.
So he's there for the Beltane battle. He gets wounded, things like that. He's dealing with Nynaeve a lot, and he goes with that group out of the Two Rivers because his intention, his whole backstory, which we'll find out hopefully, but he has a much darker twist in the TV show where he's a pickpocket. He's quick to fight. He's not. He's more of a gritty singer. I pictured more of this note, like the way Michael Kramer reads the audiobook. It's much more voluminous, and he's a court bard, and he's got this presentation kind of thing.
Yep.
This guy's more of a I think the toss a coin to your Witcher guy is closer to Tom
absolutely,
Maryland
absolutely.
what
Yeah,
they're doing here. But
it was weird because I don't know for how he was brought into the show. I think this guy fits, and I think this guy fits into what happened in the episode. But again, in my mind's eye, like that's definitively not Tom Maryland.
yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think is they go into his backstory and why would he be more of a broken man? And there's reasons for it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so if he's more down in the dumps and on hard times and has to escape, the court.
But where was the Gleeman's cloak?
It was on the inside, little patches on the inside of the cloak.
Oh.
It's like a costume. Like Moraine doesn't have her little tiara blue stone here because that would be impractical with her moving around and stuff. But they did show it at least, and then they showed a little bit of the patches of the cloak on the inside. So there's costume efficiencies, I think, which is fine. I'm okay with it. It's not super critical. But then like the Aes Sedai dressing head to toe in their color. Wait for it. Okay, so all the reds are in all red, all the blues are in all blue, all the greens are in all green, all the yellows, etc. And all you have to do is take off your ring, and this woman couldn't possibly be an Aes Sedai. like, I think the white cloaks would be a little more suspicious of a woman dressed all in one color.
Right. All right. This woman's all in blue. And there's a dude that's riding a horse directly behind her with a sword.
Pretty intense.
Yeah. It's not saying a word, and he's watching everything you're doing. Go figure. But
that seems like kind of a dumb costume choice to me. But that's one of those cartoony choices. I think it's for the beginner, like the person who has no idea. Like, we need these people to all look different, and I think that's probably one of my main criticisms. Like, I don't feel like Game of Thrones did that. I think they treated you more like an adult, and you'll figure it out if you spend some time and really care about this and watch it. There are a lot of characters, and you'll get lost. And who's that again? And what's going on? But
they took the training wheels off from the shout, though.
Yeah, and I think these costumes are training wheels. I think that's a perfect metaphor. And I don't like it. But
no.
It feels a little CW to me. That TV show, the TV station that just does the watered down it's like after school special for adults or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I get you. I definitely get what you're going with.
The Green Arrow or whatever. Mike Gibson's going to be mad at me and start talking about her.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're in his seat on the pond, and now you're. But no, that's I think the take in general, those first 3 episodes, especially for, like I said, it passed the wife litmus test, so a layperson can enjoy it. I think it's definitely got me wanting to see more.
Yep.
So
I think they're doing a good job balancing the training wheel moments and throwing a cookie to the fans.
Right.
And there's a lot of cookies in those first 3 episodes, like Mordeth in Shadar Logoth.
Yep.
He's in there. You didn't see him, but he's in there, and that's enough. Like, okay, perfect. That's all I needed. A little shadow.
Yep.
Going across, like there's a person walking over there, and oh, that's who that was. Okay, got it. That was totally for the people who know the
100%.
books. And I don't have a problem with Logain already being there.
No, that like in
in
my brain, the Logain thing was just like, because we didn't get that introduction until later on, but at the same time, you set it up to show right off the bat there's a difference between the Ajas, and that that's a thing.
Right. So, and they did mention, again, it's all just so fast. They mentioned that there's war in Gildan to the south of the 2 rivers. And that's where these Red Aja are coming from, transporting Logain at the end of episode 3.
Yep.
He was leading the army, declared himself the dragon. They caught him. They believe they caught the dragon. They found him, etc., etc. We'll leave it for the fans to see what happens next. Rand, at the end of episode 3, he grabs his sword from the Dark Friend girl who got killed by Tom Maryland. Does he go get his scabbard? Is he going to have his scabbard in the next episode?
I'm sure he will, but...
Right? And there's no axe for Perrin. There's people from the Two Rivers who are missing, like Master Luhan. And the Perrin and his wife are the blacksmiths. There's no master-apprentice relationship going on. I guess it's okay.
But why? Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if there is a reason why down the line, that's awesome, but it's like, it just seems weird.
I like that they are covering the 3 O's quite a bit. They're kind of digging into it. I think that's a nice, efficient way to explain what's going on. And Moiraine is not open about any of this in the book. She does not give you one piece of information, to the frustration of all the characters. She is so closed-mouthed. It drives them insane that they follow this woman who won't give them one clue as to where they're going or what the purpose is. Like, and that sets up her character for the rest of the thing. She's very helpful in the TV show because it's exposition for the viewers. But she's kind of explaining to Egwene how the 3 O's work, and they can't tell a lie, but how you phrase what you say. And then that scene with the white cloaks where Moiraine had to come up with a creative solution because she physically could not lie was kind of nice. I liked it. I appreciated it. That's never how I pictured Balsamon. He is too short. I pictured this very tall like Rand, broad-shouldered guy, dark hair, and it's just his black face kind of thing. Again, this guy seems a little more shorter in stature.
I mean, and it may be, it may just be practicality. I don't know. Like, why?
The dreams are working for me, though. Did you see the eyes in the window right away when Perrin woke up?
No.
There's a scene where they go to sleep in Shrouded Lovers or whatever.
Yep.
And then, I think it's Perrin, it might be Rand. They wake up in bed, and it's raining outside or something.
Yeah.
And in the window, there's a reflection of 2 flaming eyes.
Yep.
And then it disappears.
Yep.
But then it appears again, and then it disappears again. And then the whole scene changes and stuff.
Yep.
That's the clue that we're inside of a dream.
Yep.
The guy with the flaming eyes is I'll just say he's the Dark One. Yeah. He's got a name. Balsamon is the character in the book, and more will be revealed about him in the near future. Trolloc poison that's in there. Padon Fane was obviously not panicking about the Trollocs at Beltane, which sort of telegraphed a little bit there.
Yeah, that mystery got solved pretty quick.
And the whole dagger part with him, he's got I don't know how they're going to deal with that, or if they're not going to. Because he's pretty key to a lot of. He's like a Gollum character almost, like a wild card in the books.
Yeah. It is. I think. I mean, they're going to have to address it at some point or somehow. But, like, you got the impetus of unsheathing the dagger, and, like, that's starting the chain reaction of everything. But where are they gonna, like, I don't even know how to phrase what's going on in my head right now of, like,
well, they're gonna have to start showing some. See, I don't want to talk about it.
But that's the thing is they may have to draw in exposition from stuff that's way down the line to.
I think you'll probably get flashback scenes like here's what happened while this other thing was happening.
Yeah.
So we're on our way to Whitebridge.
Yep.
Or Camelin or Tarvalin. It depends on how fast we go. Geez, these things are like hundreds of miles apart in the book. And it took them weeks and weeks to get there.
Yeah.
And they were like starving and working in taverns along the way. But obviously we're not going to do that. We're going to have a couple of taverns and then we'll be right there.
Yep.
And then Moiraine's going to, now that Lan got her to the Aes Sedai, Aes Sedai are the only people who can heal the Trolloc poison. She's going to have to find one of them who can heal. Not all Aes Sedai are good at healing, so you have to find a particular one. Reds don't tend to be adept at healing. They're more about hunting the male Aja, or the male channelers. So each Aja has like a different personality, and I think they'll get into some of this with the lore.
I think once we get to the tower, they'll start diving deeper into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. I think overall, I'm happy. You said you were giddy. I think I said I was squee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah. When it first opened up, like, and they cold opened the first episode. There was no intro. There was no nothing. It was just like, you're into it. Yep. And as soon as that started going, I literally texted you. I'm like, I'm shaking with excitement over this. Yeah. And it's it was good. I think overall they hit the tone, if nothing else.
Yes, the tone is there. I think the intensity's there. The sense of foreboding, the growing tension. I think emotionally, I'm on that. Right, I'm on board. The book opens with a completely different prologue that happened at the breaking of the world, which I think is one of the greatest beginnings of a novel ever. But like several years ago, they attempted to make a Wheel of Time movie / miniseries type thing, and they used that prologue, and it was super corny and poorly done. And I think maybe the show writers like, let's not remind anybody of that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
In all honesty,
though, later.
If they did that, they would have had to do. It would have been the same as the way the Lord of the Rings movies opened, of like, here's this exposition of everything that happened in the past, and here you go. Right. So I kind of prefer this cold open and just go with it, and then we'll figure it out after.
Well, they did the breaking of the world is one of those X-ray tidbits. And it kind of touches on some of it. Doesn't really play out the whole scene, but there's little visuals of kind of what happened. They summarize it. But I highly recommend everybody go read it, because it's just awesome. It's like the first one chapter of the book, 2 chapters.
Yeah.
I think the first chapter is the Ravens, I think, and then they go into that. Do they start with... I've mostly done the audiobooks, so it's been a while since I've ever seen the text.
I was going to go look, but Colin's got mine, so one of our other friends. Okay. So
we keep telling people to read these books, and they're just starting to listen.
I'm sure more will after this series. So,
yep.
Anyway, overall, I think a successful debut for the series, and I'd like to thank Steve for coming on and talking for way too long about this, because that's what we can do very easily. When you're passionate about something, it's very easy to talk for almost an hour about it. So, again, thanks for popping on. I don't know if we'll continue to do this. We may have a couple of stop backs in as the season progresses, just to see how it goes. Anybody who's watching this and doesn't watch the normal podcast, on Sundays we have a live stream as well as a podcast on any of your podcast feeds or on Twitch. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave a review for us. That covers more of the general nerdery. With this, we're just going to focus on the Wheel of Time stuff. So, I guess in that case, Steve, thanks again, and we'll see you around the multiverse.
Thanks for having me, guys.